If you found this podcast, chances are you're a high achiever and you're successful. But now you're stuck and stressed, and you realize that everything you've created hasn't given you the fulfillment and the joy you thought it would. This is where we discuss the keys of high performance mindset and stepping into the next best version of yourself. Welcome to the Positive Persistence Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Positive Persistence Podcast, where we bring you stories to inspire you and strategies to help you tap into your potential and become your best self. I've had the pleasure of knowing today's guest for the past 2 years. Her story is nothing short of courageous, as she has pivoted from corporate finance and stay-at-home mom to a certified nutrition coach and fitness professional, committed to helping busy moms transform their health and happiness. She's a certified nutrition coach and trainer, currently serving as a group fitness coach at Chesterton Fit Body Boot Camp and as a nutrition coach for Back 40 Fitness. She brings a coaching style that equals parts science, strategy, and compassion, helping clients build sustainable habits for long-term fat loss, strength, and confidence. And is an all-around baddie when it comes to getting things done. Kaitlin Capek, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I am excited to jump into this conversation because as we were talking before we hit record, I think that your story is one that a lot of us live in terms of going from an area in life where you were doing things and you were happy for a moment, and then you were like, I don't know if this is what I really want to do. And as a matter of fact, I'm kind of stuck here, to pivoting into something that you are really passionate about and living life kind of on your terms as much as possible. Before we get into all of that, let's just give our listeners and viewers a little bit of a background of Kaitlin and kind of tell us kind of how you grew up, where you grew up, and what life was like for you when you were a kid.
As a kid, I was very busy. I was a born achiever type. I played basically every sport. I played multiple instruments. I have a twin sister, an older brother, so competitive nature is instilled in me. But yeah, just very active, very busy, very regimented, and I still carry that through everything I do today. But very happy upbringing, very like family of 5, parents together, very normal, middle class. Grew up in Orland Park, Illinois, so Chicago suburbs. And then, we moved out to Indiana. Pretty much my whole family's out here in Indiana now as of, it's been almost 7 years. Yeah.
Okay. Out of curiosity, what instruments did you play when you were a kid?
I played piano first, starting at age 5. And then I played violin for a while thereafter. And I played piano much longer through high school.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's fast forward now and let's get you into your story through college. So you're out of college. What are you doing after school?
After college, I actually lived at home for a while to save money. And I went straight into a career at a mortgage company. I started in customer service, worked my way up into the appraisal department, then actually managed a small team of pipeline processors. And then I was an underwriter when I went more part-time after my first child.
Okay. After your first child, let's talk about that, because you are a mom. How many kids do you have?
I've got 2 girls, ages 7 and 6. So back to back.
Back to back, keeping you busy.
Very busy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you started your career in finance.
Yes.
And after becoming a mom, you chose a path that led you into fitness and nutrition, correct?
Yes. So, that took a while to get there. So I got pregnant with my second, and I was still working at that time. And at that point, I'm like, okay, childcare is going to be expensive. So my husband and I discussed, we always thought about me moving to Indiana because he's always worked here at U.S. Steel at the mill in Gary. So we decided to pull the trigger, moved from the Chicago suburbs to Indiana. And at that point, it didn't really make much sense for me to still commute to Chicago and have kids and childcare. No, I am the primary caretaker. My husband works 12-hour shifts and has a very tricky schedule to navigate. So for us, we decided I was going to be a stay-at-home mom for a while, which I was excited about. I was pumped about it. My mom was a stay-at-home mom with us 3 kids, and I loved it and appreciated it. And I thought that's what I wanted to do, to be honest. Mm-hmm.
So what was the pivotal moment or realization maybe that helped you connect with something else where you started to change your path a little bit?
Well, I actually worked from home in finance again for a little while. And I was on the path to become a certified financial planner. I took 3 of the 4 necessary exams. And as I was studying for that final exam, I was like, what the heck am I doing? Like so many Americans, super burnt out. I am an early morning person. So luckily I would get a study block in before the girls woke up for the day. Then I'd get them off to daycare, would work my normal 30 plus hours a week, play with them after daycare or take them to mommy and me gymnastics, get them to bed, study some more. And it was just like this never ending cycle.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can talk to my husband, the moodiest, meanest, crabbiest. I was impatient with my kids and just was not myself. And there was literally one night where I was just like, I was just so worked up that I went for a walk and I was just bawling. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just chasing certificates and money and a title, and not because I wanted to, but I felt like it was expected of me. Like that was just the next step. Okay. And so I don't know. I went to bed. I slept on it. But then the weird thing was I got this notification because I had my alerts on for job postings still from when I just went back to work, like 6 months before. And it was like for a group fitness instructor. And I'm like, why did this even come across my email? Like, how is this even a good fit according to my profile? And it was in the neighboring town, a new gym over there. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I thought on it too, some more. And then I approached my husband. I'm like, I know this sounds messed up, but like, what if I quit my very well-paying job I planned out the finances too. I'm like, well, this is the net. This is what we spend in childcare for 2 kids. If I had more flexibility, worked these hours, could lean on my parents a little bit, not for like full 8-hour days, but like 4 to 5 hours here and there, and worked on your off days. What if I became an instructor? And they also had this benefit that they would pay for my NASM certification. So I was like, this sounds awesome. And my husband's like, you're out of your mind. Like, this is so crazy. And I was like, I know it's crazy, but like, look at me. Like, I'm not myself. I am so far from like how I used to be in our 20s. And so he's like, I don't really want you to, but I guess. So I gave my 2 weeks notice. We actually had a vacation planned. And we went on vacation. I ended up auditioning for that job and I got it. And that's kind of how it shifted.
Yeah. That's how you transitioned into fitness. Let's go back before we go forward into fitness and nutrition and NASM certifications. For those of you guys who don't know what that is the National Academy of Sports Medicine, which is like the gold standard in the fitness world for certifications. But you said that you were studying for your 4th out of the 4 tests that you need to do to get your next certification in the finance world, working 30 hours a week, taking care of the girls, doing all the things because it's kind of what was expected. So I'm curious, where did that expectation come from?
I think it was more from me than anything, but so it was like a 2-person team. It was just me and a franchisee for Ameriprise Financial. And I love that she pushed me and got me out of my comfort zone. But at the same time, she like had her own dreams. And so I kind of followed suit. I feel like I just felt like, oh, well, this is the next step for me so that she can do her thing. So I was kind of just like, I'm doing it because she wants this, but not because I actually wanted it, So that's the only reason. I honestly, that's where the expectation came from. But I also am super hard on myself. And again, achiever type, I always want the next best thing. Like there's no limit there. And so that's why I do love fitness, because you can always change and grow in different ways without being like crazy taxing and burning out necessarily. But yeah, I feel like some of it was just me, but also that I think it's just like the owner had that plan. And so I kind of just followed suit and didn't really speak up for myself.
I think that burnout is such a real thing for so many people that is a conversation that needs to be had over and over again, because I feel like that is the expectation for us here, at least here in America. Like that's what we're supposed to be doing for some reason. That's like the norm, is that you are supposed to be burning the candle at both ends and just running every day to get as much done as possible just to feel good about yourself. But then you get to the point to where you stop feeling good. I mean, for you and I know that we're cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways, that we enjoy the satisfaction of getting things done.
Yes.
Like it helps us like to check the boxes and get things done, that we're making progress, and that makes us feel good about ourselves. But there is a point to where you have to like stop and smell the roses every once in a while, so you can actually enjoy life instead of beating yourself into the ground, sometimes literally, just to be able to keep up with the norms, I guess. Do you feel that at all?
Totally. I completely relate to that. I mean, yes, there's always like something else to look forward to, which I don't think necessarily is a bad thing. But like for me, I've dealt with anxiety in the past. And so I really have to check myself. And I do feel like my one anchor, though, has always been movement and fueling myself properly. And I kind of just, I don't know, I kind of just ran with that, honestly. But when you feel better, you can be a better mom. You could be better at your job. You can be a better wife or husband or partner or whatever it is. And so if you can't fill up your own cup, then how are you supposed to fill up others? And so, yeah, there's definitely something to all of that.
Yeah, for sure. So you were at home for about like 2.5 years?
Yes.
And you were focusing on your family, and you pursued the NASM certification, which you got, and you shifted into coaching.
Yes.
What would you say were the biggest hurdles during that transition, and how did you overcome them to rebuild your professional identity? Because I mean, you clearly switched from one industry to another.
Yeah.
100%.
So there's quite a few, honestly. The first one was just like a big identity shift. Like, who am I? Like, I've always been like a finance girly or corporate girly. And then now I'm suddenly like a fitness coach. And what business do I have being a fitness coach? So it's almost like this like imposter syndrome. Like, what am I doing here? How? I don't have any certifications yet. And I'm telling people what to do. I'm correcting their form. I'm pushing them to do different things. And then there's mom guilt. And I'm still being pulled, but to do something I'm passionate about now, instead of just like to make tons of money. Now I'm making way less money, and I'm still being pulled away from my children, but it is less and I can't be more present. So that helped. And then, I don't know, how did I overcome it? I guess just like one step at a time, like anything else. And we talked about this before, just putting reps in. And then as you put in the reps, you identify as that person. Suddenly one day something shifts and you're like, oh, like I am that person. I do that thing. And I feel like because I was able to split my time, I was a better mom. I was a better wife. I was more present in all the things, like all encompassing, all the things I did in my whole life. So yeah, I feel like time and reps and experience, but it was a tough shift.
Yeah.
It was awkward.
But necessary, right? It was necessary. And I think what you just said is so important when we talk about imposter syndrome and putting in the reps. You said that, you kept putting in the reps, and then eventually you realize like, hey, I can do this. I am this person. I do know what I'm doing. But I think for a lot of people, they get scared by that notion of, oh my God, just to take your example, like here I am instructing people and I'm not even certified yet. Like who am I? Like, and what if they start to question me?
Right. And what if I don't know the answer?
Yeah.
And I'm not a good bullshitter, not going to lie. So
right.
I'm like, let me look that up and I'll get back to you with the research.
Yeah. But I think that is such an important lesson for people to understand and know that, when you get into that imposter syndrome, well, whatever it is, and I'm very familiar with that as well, because I have transitioned from one industry to another before, and I had those same feelings. But I think one of the things, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, but for me at least, one of the things that drove me forward was the passion that I had to become the thing that I wanted to become. That was greater than the fear that I had of the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Right. And having that emotional energy kind of pushed away the imposter syndrome, and it was like, well, this is what I want to become. This is who I'm going to become. So I keep putting those reps in. And as you said, eventually you get to that point to where I am that thing now, right? But you're right. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. It's a rocky road filled with ups and downs until you finally get comfortable with that new identity, really. So in rebuilding your professional identity and going from finance and getting into coaching, we talked about, I just, mentioned like your emotional energy. Did you find yourself being happier now that you were doing something that, as to use your words, filled you up, as opposed to draining from your cup?
No, I was much happier. I was way less anxious. Prior to that, when I was super burnt out, I was underweight. I didn't have an appetite. I was so worked up, on the edge of my seat at all times. And I finally felt like this huge load off my shoulders, like where I could do the thing and make some money and have a thing that's mine, but I could also be a mom and be really good at that too, and be present with my girls and not thinking about work nonstop. And it's hard to separate those two, but I feel like I was actually not by no means perfect at either thing, but I was much better at being a working mom and a mom that took care primarily of my children solo. Mm-hmm. And but my mood, my energy, my sleep, all of those things were so much more improved.
What would you say to a mom who's in a situation similar to yours, to where they are the primary caregiver, even though they're married, they have a spouse, they have a significant other, but they're the ones that are giving really most of the support to their children, holding down a job, but they're stuck. They're not happy with where they are. They kind of are looking around like, how did I get here? Mm-hmm. Like, I love my kids, I love my significant other, but I'm just not loving life right now. I need to make a change. And clearly, you're an example that is figure-outable, if that's even a word. So, what would you say to that mom who's like, what do I do? How do I find my happiness?
I would say first, do a calendar audit and think about where are there little moments in your day that can be yours and only yours. And then find a thing that you want to lean into, whether it could be as simple as journaling and just unloading your brain, mm-hmm. or it could be movement, and maybe it's a walk in the morning or a lifting sesh or whatever it is. But embracing those little moments a little bit and then it kind of snowballs from there. I feel like allowing you to build on that time and feel refreshed, and then be present in a way that feels good to you, for your partner or for your children, for your job. But yeah, I feel like that's the first step, is just finding those little blocks of time. And I know it feels like we don't have them, but we do. We do have them, because we all know we're watching Netflix or scrolling on phones. So what is your priority? Yeah. And then also thinking about, what's your actual priority? Is it to see what's on social media and what your friends are doing, or watching Real Housewives, or, whatever shows on Netflix? Or is it to actually feel good in your skin and do something that's good for your mind, body, and soul?
Well said. Yes, for sure. So here's something I've been thinking about since you said it. And correct me if I'm wrong, if I have this wrong about the story, is that one night you were so fed up that you went for a walk, you came back. Was it that night, or was it the next day that email came across?
It was a couple days later. It was weird timing. It was weird timing. It wasn't the next day or anything, but it was very shortly after, probably 2 or 3 days. But I'm like, that is so freaking weird. So it was a sign. Yeah. It was pretty cool, actually.
So you had gotten to the quote unquote tipping point, and then this thing kind of came into your life.
There wasn't a certain point. It was a period of time where it's just
Right.
bottlenecking. It's like you're shaking up a can and then just thing exploded.
Right.
And I not like that. It wasn't just that one night that I had like a breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
The breakdowns were happening pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Like I was just, and that's not, I'm kind of emotional. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not usually that emotional to the point where like, and you can ask my husband, like I was literally crazy. Like I was just not myself. So yeah, I feel like it was just a period. Like the last couple months, I mean, I was burning the candle at both ends. Not everyone can be like waking up at 4, studying for 90 minutes, getting myself ready, getting the kids ready, doing their thing after daycare, getting them off to bed, studying another 90 minutes. And then I was just like, I mean, I also set like crazy timelines for myself to pass the next exam. I took 3 of them in just a few months, and that's not normal either. So, but I also created that pressure for myself because I thought that's what I should do. Try to prove it to, I don't know who, there's no trophy to do it faster, but that's me.
Right. That's your achiever driving for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's talk about nutrition. Let's talk about coaching, because for a lot of people, that's a piece that is missing. That is like a huge question mark in their lives of, how do I even do this? And like, I can do, maybe I can do the workout piece. Like I'll join a gym and I'll start moving. And then we know how that goes for most people that, you know, after a couple of days or a week, maybe 2, maybe a month, like, I don't know if I'm not really feeling that. And then the nutrition piece is like, that's like Greek to people. Like, how do I even I didn't understand that. So now as you are a coach at Fit Body Bootcamp and Back 40 Fitness, how do you tailor nutrition and fitness coaching to fit a busy mom schedule? Because you mentioned it, like you think you don't have time, right? But we do. You know, I like to say that if you are trying to find time, you never will. You have to make it. So how do you tailor nutrition and fitness coaching to fit a busy mom's schedule so she can sustain long-term like fat loss, strength, and confidence, right, without feeling overwhelmed by this whole fitness nutrition thing?
So the first thing I would say is meet that mom where she is right now in this season of life. So moms in general, I guess not to generalize for everyone, but a lot of us have perfectionism brain. Like we want to do all the things, be 100% on all the time, but that's not realistic. And right off the bat, that's setting you up for failure. Mm-hmm. So what is realistic is maybe being 70 to 80% on and 20 to 30% more lenient there, and finding that happy balance between the two, because that's still going to move the needle for you. And I think the problem is we're all so stuck on speed and instant gratification. Mm-hmm. But if we can slow it down and do it in a way that does work for you, is sustainable, might look slower than you want, you might need more patience than you want, but that is how you build that sustainable progress. So am I going to prescribe a 90-minute workout to a mother who says she has absolutely no time? No. I would rather, audit her calendar. Where's 15 minutes that you can spend on a little lift? Can you do that 3 times a week? Or maybe we look at your environment in your home. Is there a way to set you up for success by creating your surroundings in a way that there's less tension around making easier decisions that are uncomfortable, but less friction there? All of these little things will add up to a lot of small decisions, a lot of small wins that eventually become just part of what we do day in and day out. And so I feel like we all think we need to do the most. And, there's a lot of times we hear like about 28-day challenges or 45-day fix or whatever it is, or 75 hard. But really, if you lost a half a pound a week over a year's time, that's 25 pounds in a year. And you did it in a way that feels good to you, mm-hmm. that didn't feel overly restricted or like you were missing out, or like you couldn't have ice cream with your kids or a pizza night once a week. That's what's realistic for you. That's how my philosophy works. I like to find those pockets, find ways that do work with you, your schedule, your non-negotiables. And then otherwise, we're turning up the dial. We're focusing where we can get those wins and building from there.
It's time to ask yourself, when was the last time you prioritized you? Did you know that research shows that nearly 85% of high performers struggle to maintain a performance mindset while juggling the demands of work and personal life? Those who actively prioritize their performance mindset and personal growth are 30% more likely to achieve their goals in business and life. If you're feeling crippling stress and anxiety, or if you're feeling guilty when you take a moment for yourself, or if you're stuck in the grind and feeling burnt out, you're not alone. Many of us yearn for more, but struggle with the fear of being judged or feeling selfish. And you want to step into the next best version of yourself. That's why I created the Rinse Method, which got me from paraplegic to marathon runner. Backed by science-based proven strategies and now customized for high performers like you. If you're stuck and stressed and want clear steps that you can implement today to move forward, make sure you visit thepositivepersistence.com to download our free Rinse PDF.
There is something other than a all or nothing philosophy to fitness and nutrition.
Absolutely. Yes.
You can do it in little increments over time, which makes it more sustainable.
Yes. And there's this study that shows like the average woman diets like 8 to 10 times in her life. And the reason is because you like starved yourself or you worked out too hard and you got injured or burnt out, like overtraining. And then you stop and you start over again and again and again. And instead, I'd rather we work on habits that are for life, slowly but surely, throwing 1, maybe 2 things at you a week. You get those wins, we add on something else. And then over time, you're like, oh, I'm like a whole new person without really realizing all the change that's happening in that moment.
If I'm hearing you right, you want to slowly over time, incrementally add new habits on to be able to help someone gain or achieve the goal they want. Kind of like what happens with us when we gain weight, incrementally, slowly over time.
Yeah. Think about how long it took you to gain the weight. Like it didn't just happen overnight either. That probably took you years, and it takes you years to find a plan that works for you. And then the other part that's missing too, I feel like, is maintenance. Like what happens after you've lost the weight? Are you still able to do what you've already been doing? Because maintenance looks a whole lot like fat loss, but maybe you get a little more give and take, but it's still a lot of the exact same things for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. So the word sustainability is key.
Key.
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Agree. So, okay, let me ask you about this. So many moms, and we're going to talk about moms a lot because you're a mom, my wife's a mom, and in our fitness industry, we deal with a lot of moms, right? So I think the moms need to know what you just talked about. I think is really important that, perfectionism doesn't need to be the driver in life. Like you can't be all things to all people all the time. And I know that for the decade plus that I've been in this industry, having conversations with a lot of women who are moms, one of the things that they neglect is themselves because they're trying to be all the things for everybody else. Mm-hmm. And then they come last. And then they do end up in that position. The kids are in high school and they all of a sudden have a body that they don't recognize and they don't necessarily don't love. And they're like, well, how did I get here? Well, it's because all those years that you put everybody else first. But being a mom, okay, I think a lot of moms feel pulled between being present with their kids and pursuing a meaningful career. So how did you balance motherhood with your professional ambitions, and what practical, let's say, routines or boundaries, we'll say, did you set to stay anchored to that?
So I've always been big on routine my whole life myself, and my kids also thrive in routine. So I leaned into that for sure. So if it was nap time, I would absolutely be taking advantage of that time. And it was rare that both were actually, there was like one little blip in time where they both napped together, but that was rare. But outside of that, routine is great. I think boundaries, which is still something I'm working on, setting boundaries between work blocks and mom time and wife time, it's really important. Mm-hmm. If you were to look at my Outlook calendar right now, you'd be like, holy moly, like it looks crazy, but It's orderly, it's color coded. I have blocks that repeat for a year on end. And I think that, I even put my workouts in the same way. I book them like an appointment for my kid, not even for me. Although for me, it's like, it just happens now because I do really enjoy them. But at first it was hard to find that balance though, to like book it. And for me, I would probably cancel a doctor's appointment, but I wouldn't cancel an appointment for my child. So I do treat them like that. So yeah, I mean, boundaries there between work time and family time, still work in progress, but it's getting better. Or getting rid of your phone, because I am like, a lot of what I do is virtual. So it's hard to turn it off. So I do turn off notifications or DND when it's time for wind down time at night. So to keep things just kind of separated if I can. Outside of that, I feel like accepting help is, at first that was a really big struggle for me. And I mean, I do lean harder into others. I have a great support system, and I'm very lucky to have that. And I know not everyone does, but accepting help because they do want to help. It's not putting someone out necessarily. Like grandparents, they want to be here. And so for me, it felt like I was putting them out. But for them, it's like, this is awesome. So accepting the help from others so that I can go on a date with my husband and, keep our marriage alive, or, get in an extra work block here and there, or study, or whatever it was. But I think a lot of it comes down to like remembering. I'd always play in my head too, like I'm teaching my girls something here. Like they've seen me fail and then get back up. They've seen me change careers entirely. They've seen me take care of myself, health and nutrition and wellness wise. And they've seen me crazy. They've seen me much happier, and know that that's normal to go through phases of life and ebb and flow. They come to the gym and they see people taking care of themselves at all ages, which I think is awesome. So that also like kind of fuels the fire a little bit too, to like just be the example for your kids. Not everyone's in like the wellness industry, obviously, but those failures and triumphs and struggles, like that's real life. And so leaning into that and knowing that they're seeing that and learning from it too was also super helpful.
You talk about accepting help and realizing that you need help. And I think for a lot of high achievers, overachievers, they have to let go of the I got this mentality to enable them to get the help, because it's going to make your life easier. I know that, again, speaking for myself, that is still is something I have to work on, is asking for help, because I have to realize that other people, like you said, want to help you. And in some ways, especially when it's with your kids, like if they want to help you, like you're doing something for them, especially like grandparents. Like grandparents want to spend that time with their grandkids, But yeah, if it's offered, take the help. Take the help for sure.
Definitely.
So, all right. Now, I know that you are a very structured individual. I mean, if people didn't know about it when you were describing your Outlook calendar, they now know that you are super structured.
Yes.
So what non-negotiable habits do you coach moms to adopt to support their, like both their personal happiness and maybe a career transition, like especially when they feel life is chaotic or uncertain? What non-negotiable habits do you help people with?
So a few anchors typically that I lean into are protein and produce, if we're talking nutrition. If you were to do anything at any meal or snack, protein and produce every single time. That'll get you at least some protein and some fiber. I know like we seem busy, and if you can think about it less, that's the rule. Outside of that, movement, whether it's steps, I know some people I wouldn't consider that a workout necessarily, but it is exercise, and it still is moving the needle. And we can park further away. We can go for a walk around the block, or with our kids. We can do that in an easy way. So step count, but if you can get those lifts in or some kind of structured workout, that'd be great too. But whatever movement you can manage that you enjoy. So I know we feel like we should be doing Pilates because everyone's doing Pilates, but do you enjoy Pilates? Is it something that you would stick to long-term? So find some movement that you can do long-term outside of that walking. And then the big one is sleep. And I feel like Americans, a lot of females too, because we go through perimenopause and menopause and it just goes to shit. you need to double down on your sleep, because that is literally the foundation for everything else. So we place a lot of intention around that. But I feel like those few anchors, and water, that's another one. If you want to track the water, protein, produce, water, movement are the 4 things I would say focus on.
Those would be your non-negotiables for your best health.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What would you say for someone who is dealing with that burnout that you dealt with? That when you were noticing some of the signs that were indicating like something's going on here. I'm not digging this. Life is not the way I want it to be. What would you say if you were to go back in time? What were some maybe non-negotiables that you would input in your life at that point to kind of either give you some breathing room or help you discover that you needed to make a shift?
So 2 of them are the same, I feel like, right off the bat. Sleep, which mine suffered greatly, so I probably should have placed more intention there. And movement was always an anchor, because it's so great for our mindsets. Like, it gives us so much mental clarity. It helps with anxiety. It helps with depression. It's an outlet. You kind of turn everything else off for at least a blip in time. But outside of that, I used to do a whole lot of box breathing, like a lot of up, in for 4, hold it at the top for 4, out for 4, hold it at the bottom. And those moments of like really big overwhelm where I was like, oh my God, I'm about to break. But it doesn't necessarily have to be box breathing. It could be any like 5-minute thing that feels good to you. Maybe it's reading a few pages of a self-help book, or maybe it is just going for a short walk around the block, or whatever it is, but like something that helps you calm down and kind of reset. But a lot of it is kind of the same, though. It kind of overlaps.
Health, yes. Physical health definitely intersects with mental health and vice versa. Yeah, for sure. So if you were to say, so many listeners, they want to start somewhere small while pursuing a bigger dream. What would you say would be your, like, just 3 practical steps maybe to take in the next 24, 72 hours to begin a transition towards a passion-driven career, as opposed to one you feel like you're compressed and trapped in and unhappy?
Okay, this is kind of a hard question.
Like, if you were to think back again to your journey, like, what were some of those first steps you took to maybe even gain the confidence to make that leap?
I'm a big fan of pros and cons lists, so I started there. Like, that kind of also leans into like looking at your time, like auditing your time. Like, is this a season I can actually do this? Because I also thought about being like a full-on entrepreneur, but I'm like, this isn't the time or place for that. So being real with yourself, like thinking about, okay, if I did this today, is this feasible? Or am I going to burn out even more? Or like, you don't necessarily need to take the leap just because you're passionate about it either. I think it's important to be realistic. So pros and cons list, I think I would start there.
Okay.
Then be clear on your why. Like, your passion has to anchor you through the hard parts. So is this like a hobby, or are you like truly passionate about doing that thing? Like, for me, I knew helping people, and I found like I was passionate about it because I found so much relief in movement and fueling my body. And I wanted to help other people because I know it was a very relatable situation to find that in themselves. Like, is that like, what is your why? Will that keep you going, even though it's going to be flipping hard to make this big shift? And then the last thing, I guess, is to actually take a small itty bitty step, like maybe sign up for the course, apply for the job. I mean, doesn't mean you have to do it necessarily, but at least it's putting you in the right direction. And maybe network, like there's so many great opportunities to network with people, pick their brains, shadow someone to see if like, is this actually a good fit? And then that kind of cycle back to number 1, I guess.
Awesome. All good advice. Let's talk about the future a little bit. Looking ahead, what resources, programs, or communities would you point some of our listeners and viewers towards if they were considering moving into fitness, wellness, nutrition, maybe a lifestyle transition, or if they're interested in working with you and helping them get their life on track? with their fitness and their nutrition. Do you have any upcoming initiatives or anything like that going on?
We don't have anything just yet. Typically around Black Friday, we do have something, but we don't know. We don't have it all sorted out yet, so I don't want to give too many details on that. But I feel like outside of that, just find a community that has aligned goals with you. So whether that's a gym or even if it's box gym and you're doing it solo, like you're still there with like-minded people having a similar goal. Or maybe it's a mom group where you meet at the park and you can vent to each other while your kids play and you walk around the park or something. But yeah, I feel like community, and then also like don't do it alone. Like coaches are kind of like your roadmap to success. Like you could Google everything and you can go on ChatGPT and get a whole plan. You could, but is that like an actual person helping you strategize to do it in a way that works for you in a sustainable way that you could carry out through the rest of your life? So there is something to going to a gym. There's something about working with actual coaches, whether it's for personal training or group fitness or nutrition or wellness, whatever it is. Yeah, outside of that, I mean, you can feel free to follow me, Kaitlin.Capek on Instagram, and Back40 Fitness. It's back_40_fitness on Instagram as well. We have lots of motivational, educational, even sometimes I think it's funny content. Maybe it's not for everybody, but I think it's kind of funny. So yeah, just something to, keep you on your toes, maybe get a little bit of insight, and feel free to slide into my DMs and ask any questions in the meantime. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kaitlin, I want to thank you for taking time and joining us today and giving us a little glimpse into your life and in how to come back from setbacks and making that big transition from a place in life where you were not yourself into doing something that you're passionate about and adding happiness back into your life. So thank you for taking the time out today. I appreciate it.
And thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
And I want to thank all of our listeners and viewers for tuning into this episode. We will end this like we end all the others. Remember to stay positive, stay persistent, and know that mindset is everything. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in and being part of the Positive Persistence family. We're having a great time creating this content, and we truly hope it inspires you to embrace positivity and persistence in your own journey. If this podcast episode inspired you or entertained you, scroll down, hit those stars, and leave a comment. Your 5-star reviews and shares encourage us and help us grow the show. So until next time, stay positive, stay persistent, and remember, mindset is everything.